Hello everybody, this is Record Batch 45 here, and today we're doing a tier list ranking over all the Joestars based off how well I like them, whether it be their personalities, their fighting style, spirit, how well they contributed to the plot, how well they contributed to the other parts, and just how well I really, emotionally connected with the character. Just my overall likings and rankings over all 8. So first off, we have Jonathan Joestar. I loved Phantom Blood personally. Wow, I know, hot take, but it just really, connected to me with the Victorian era. But aside from that, Jonathan is the actual character. I liked his gentleman approach to it. I liked how, yet that he was a gentleman, he was noble, not a snob, and it was just overall the perfect gentleman. And he went and fought the odds of evil itself, which is Dio. As seen, he had markings and the fortune teller that Dio worked with. He talked about his his ear markings, and talked about how his period was itself. But Jonathan, with against those odds and against all of his adversaries, he still proved to be the gentleman he was, the man, if you would. And what I like about in the last chapter, the last episode of part 1, while Dio goes and tries to get a new body, he finds Jonathan on his right after his wedding, ready to go on his honeymoon with Arena. And even though Dio went, almost killed Arena, everybody on the boat, and even though he went and knocked out his airways and practically killed him, Jonathan still died loving Dio like a brother, like nothing has changed. Even though he accepts and everything that he's done, he still loves Dio. He still cares for him. And he only wants the best for him. That, to me, means a lot for Jonathan. Also, with his fighting style. You can't really see him, but, if you read JoJo's or watched it, this man's absolute unit. He's absolute tank. This dude probably couldn't fit in most doorways. And even though, quite him being FIFO fi fum that he is, he's still the kindest one, nicest one, and that's honestly a good archetype for a character. I love that archetype. But he isn't overall great in his story. I'm gonna put Jonathan at B. So I wouldn't really say B is mid. Okay, I wouldn't say B is mid. I'd say C is a mid character, like a character that I feel like has little or no development, and not just his strength, but overall with everybody around him. So that's how we finish off Phantom Blood. Okay, next part 2, Battle Tennessee, Young Joseph Joestar. Oh man, if you did not love Jonathan, you loved Joseph. That's just how it was. Joseph being a delinquent in New York City. Dude is a menace. What can I say? He was the definition of Black Force energy. As a kid, airplane got hijacked, he helped take it down. Oh, keep in mind, this man cannot drive anything to save his life. I wouldn't trust him to drive a car, a plane, a boat. I don't care, even a golf cart. I do not trust this man. I would not be in a vehicle with him. He could not pay me enough. Not at all. Joseph. Man, when he fought Strauzo, he pulled out the Tommy gun and grenades. What normal teenager in New York City has that in the 1940s? Nobody, no one. Dude is the man. Other than that, his character development, we see him come in as this jockey character. He's really confident, and you can tell he has charisma. But as he meets Caesar, Lisa, and as he gets more power and realizes the true utter despair in the situation that's going to happen with the Pillarman, this man, he has some really great character development just in his part alone. Not even talking about part 3. That's where that's the breaking point. But we're going to get there in a second. I loved Joseph probably more than Jonathan. His cockiness really set it off for me. He played around with Santana, Wamu, ECDC, and even Cars. The ultimate being, not. Young Joseph A. I said it. I honestly don't think that I can have a better character to put an A as of right now, as like the milestone. Like, that's what he should be. I'm gonna take a sip. Alright. Now we're getting to part 3. Okay, part 3, Joseph. In my opinion, some people hated it, his change, his character. He aged like fine wine to me. Like, as a character, not his looks. Joseph, he makes more jokes. I mean, sure, he has to do repetitive, oh my god, and then holy. He has his repetitive yelling jokes, but, I mean, take Brooke from One Piece, for example. He has his 45-degree angle jokes, and I'm already dead, and that's hilarious every time. In my opinion, it's the same way with Joseph. They don't overuse it, in my opinion. They use it at the right time just to get that comedic relief that some episodes do need in part 3. I mean, like it or not, there was some pretty, not necessarily a normal anime episodes. I mean, we saw Baby Polnareff's, the baby episode. That was a mental disorder on that one. But aside from that, Joseph, I love his jokes. He's very more charismatic, but you can tell that this is character development more. So part 3, he has very much character development. As in the Speedwagon Foundation. He really built his trust with them. Even though Speedwagon died, he kind of became the, guess you could say, new placeholder for Speedwagon. Speedwagon Foundation really helped a lot. Joseph's a real great character for having that connection with him. Now, since they don't have part 4 Joseph, I'm going to add this in here with it. Joseph loses some rep with me about in part 4. I mean, he cheated on Holly. I mean, sure it's a, anime, manga, but I just don't like that. I mean, overall, dude's a great character, but just during that and practically leaving his other son in the dust, B. I mean, I would put him at A, but just that last part, it just really sets me off about his character. I mean, if I just stopped after part 3 and never watched part 4, he'd be A. But he's over here with his grandfather, Jonathan. Maybe they have a good conversation about making Joseph a good human being for once. Ooh. Mr. Angry himself. Jotaro Kujo. Listen, man. I can tell you... Oh, let me put Joseph back down. I'm not going to hold my finger on the mouse button for this long about to talk for him. Jotaro Kujo is a character that you have to analyze well and not just glaze over him as a character. I mean, sure, he seems like the guy that always too cool for anything. It says, the same the joke line, yard is a good grief. But sure, he does that. But you have to really look into his character for his character development, because he goes from a guy in the beginning that we see that he doesn't want really no one around him. He just wants to go to school, be left alone, come back, and just be left alone home alone again. Even though people say that he hates his mom, he loves his mom to death. And I think that's just a way of him calling her names. It's just his way of, like, I guess, expressing it. But, yeah, so I guess we can use his mom. So, as Jotaro in the beginning, like he said, with his mom, he doesn't really like anybody. But when he got his stand, he was even, aggressive towards it. And then he was aggressive towards Abdul. He was aggressive towards Joseph. And not really, like, aggressive towards, like, fight. Just meaning, like, he just did not want them around. He was stagnant towards them, I guess you could say. Repelled them. But as you can see through, when Ponrose, and then after Kakuin, after the whole major squad gets together, you see Jotaro's character development. He starts to learn what real friends are, and not necessarily like, your normal high school friend group, but like a friend group, they're acquaintances as well, that, like, you have each other's back, you care for each other as brothers, but also they're going to hold you accountable. And that's what that group was, and that really, I guess, shaped Jotaro into a better man that you would see in part 4 and part 6 and even in part 5. But we'll get there in a second. Jotaro, his character development at the end, and I guess even through the second half of part 3, you see how he's went from a delinquent teenager, and still as he is a teenager with those same emotions and thoughts, he's matured a bit in his actions. He has somewhat held back his anger. He was kind of like, with his stand and his punching power and his force, he kind of realized, like, this is what my anger is feeling. But with the anger that he was feeling, he also realized that maybe he should help back. Until the end of part 3, the Dio fight. Man. That fight made Jotaro who he is. All that workup, all the 45 episodes, 44, I think, episodes, 45, 44 episodes it was to sing Dio. This man was harboring the weight of his bloodline, practically, to save his mother and to kill Dio. And when he got there, he let everything he's been holding up, all the emotions, all the feelings of caring for his mother, for his grandfather, for his friends that have died. It shows his development. He was able to hold it back the entire fight until Joseph's blood gets drawn out of him. Then everything gets unleashed out of him. That shows you how much he has grown as a character. And sure, that might seem simple, that, he's holding back his emotions. But as a character, as your teenager, and you have a stand that is that powerful and that fast, that is great responsibility to great power. With great power brings great responsibility. Jotaro S. He doesn't even... for a character that yells a lot, or and Yara design, calling names, when you see him smile, you could tell that he's changing. And at that, it makes me really like him. Jotaro is really cool. Jotaro's kind of the Giga Chad, I guess you could say, but there's a better one. Okay, let's leave it at that. Part 4, just... Okay. What can you say? I love him. Part 4, Josuke. He has Joseph's personality to him, right? His goofiness. You could say he quite literally is at least as great as Joseph. And then he also has the badassness. I love Josuke. I mean, he seems just like a young Joseph, with a punching close range team. So, I mean, even in the beginning of part 4, you could see how Jotaro is surprised when he clashes with Josuke's stance. It shows that he really is strong. And as you can see, go through, Josuke, he's a high schooler. I mean, dude's trying to just have fun. Like, everybody else has been through high school and has friends outside the school that they hung out with a lot. I mean, he was just trying to live out, school. School just started for everybody. Um, but him, Koichi, Akiyasu, um, they all really helped each other develop. But Josuke developed from a person that was all cocky. Cocky you could say, but he's also accepting like with Koichi. But it really made Josuke, I guess, sort of mature and develop, but not in a way that would make him like stern and change all of his like emotions and everything through it. Josuke, he stayed somewhat more the same, if not more charismatic, more funnier, and more Chad. Like, he matured in a really good way. Like, I guess say Joseph fine wine, but I guess with bourbon, you could say. It aged perfectly. Josuke, A. Part 4, Jotaro. Wow. So, part 4, Jotaro. Listen. I already know. This is a horrible tier list so far. Whew. So he's practically, even though he's not as angry and as Chad as he once was in part 3, part 4, Jotaro, he shows that he became the man that all of his adventures and his teachings has put him into. You could see like when he sees Koichi, he feels a connection with Koichi really easily, and he keeps talking about how reliable he is, and it shows Jotaro ability once again to rely on others more than do everything himself. I love how, like I said, he became more of a man, but he became more that like he has responsibilities in life. He kind of took over Joseph's spot as the Speedwagon foundation. That's how they set up Koichi Singh Giorno in part 5. That's how they got the Joseph over there in part 4. Everybody else realized that he had great power, and so he had that great responsibility with the Joestar bloodline that Speedwagon entrusted us into, due to the mutual respect that Jonathan has given. Giorno. Okay. Hot take. Giorno, to me, isn't that great of a character. I mean, sure, he's strong, everything else, but like, he just wants to become a gangster, a gangstar, and become the mafia leader. We don't really see any development in that, other than his connections with his teammates, which that should be normal anyways. As he gets, sad, I never really seen him cry over his friends. So I'll put him at C. Sure, I love his stand, but overall in the part of the plot, he's just Dio's son, and that's what really glorified him. I mean, even Jotaro said that he doesn't have to worry about him. I mean, sure, he took down Diablo, not undermining him or lowballing him, but he had real no development. Yeah, I mean, so did Diablo. Diablo had no real development in the story. That was really just a major, like, you could tell, power part. Jolene. So Jolene is kind of like her father. We are not putting her in S. In terms of personality, but she also has a playful personality that Jotaro did not have. Not really on the sword sides of anyone else on this list. Jolene has her own personality that that's also not under the facade of the big bad aura that Jotaro has given by genetics. As Jolene can be seen to change fate in some occasions. I mean, everybody was supposed to die in Maiden Heaven. Well, not yeah, everybody's supposed to die and then reincarnate. Jolene sacrificed herself for polio to survive, and that really changed fate. I mean, that changed, like I guess they say, berserk causality. The fate of what was planned in that universe to be set out changed. Another reason why I somewhat like Jolene is as a character who I have on S, Jotaro. Jotaro in part 6 trusted he could have saved his daughter or the universe. And he trusted his daughter to finish it out and make sure that PG doesn't achieve his full Maiden Heaven plan. And you know what? Despite all the crap that everybody gives Jolene, she did. She changed it. Emporio changed what heavy weather killed Pichi. Made the reset different and wrong that Pichi's plan was. She has really good development from just being a delinquent tween like Jotaro. It becomes more of a sister, a caretaker for like Foo Fighters and Emporio. Not necessarily a caretaker like kids. I mean, Emporio is pretty smart and take care of himself also. But they all really collectively work together and they depend on each other. And I like that. So that will put me... Do I put... Yeah, that's right there. Do I put Jolene in front of Josuke? Yeah, I'll probably put Jolene in front of Josuke. I'll put Jolene in front of Joseph. Yeah. Oh, okay. So part 6 is my favorite JoJo part. I love the stands, the concept, Jolene as a character. I mean, if I love JoJo, you have to love Jolene. A lot of people give Jolene a lot of crap for nefarious reasons. Like one, that she's a girl JoJo, which that doesn't change a single thing. Jolene probably is more masculine than a lot of the males out there that hate on her. But she's her own person. Like Josuke 4 is, like Joseph. And then Giorno is kind of like Jonathan, but also has Dio aspects. That's why I think I love Jotaro and Jolene so much. They're their own personalities. Part 7. My second favorite part. Okay, so yes, I didn't even have to talk about it. This should be obvious. Jonathan has the biggest character development that means jack squat in JoJo's. Johnny Joestar went from being crippled, hopeless in the race, just to find a way. Money. Fandom. He met Jaro, and then as they went on their race and their adventure, Johnny grew confidence. Johnny grew camaraderie. Johnny started caring for another person like he has not been able to with Danny or his brother. With his father hating him, Johnny really was kind of on his own for a lot of his life. His development going from Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and Act 4 isn't always just power, it's also his personality, his fighting spirit, his confidence, and everything that he needs to succeed in the race. And as he does not win, he wins with importance. They win. Not the steel ball run. But the corpse. They make sure it's safe and sound. And then in part 8, they make sure he dies in the boulder. Right? But he got the corpse part back out. He had kids. He had development, man. Civil War arc for Johnny really, I think, was his main point of development. And learn how to accept past sins, accept past memories, and use them and as I guess motivation to keep going. I mean, so was the Love Train arc. I mean, as long as it was with Gyro, his lessons, Johnny had to use what he was given, but also work by himself truly for once, like he once was without Gyro, by himself against Funny Valentine, and we saw how that almost went. And then as he went to fight Dio, Alternate Universe, they always have to fight once again. I mean, it has to be like the original timeline. And as you see, Dio won. I mean, it's kind of canon. I mean, it really is, but like, we see Johnny going to fight Dio, who he's always wanted to fight. He's always won against that as a kid. Dio calling him an old hick, redneck, country boy. Johnny really proved to Dio that, well, alternate universe Dio, that is. But Diego, sorry. That he was truly better. And we're talking about, if we had the original Scary Monsters Diego, Jonathan would have won easy cakewalk racing. Everything, every aspect. Johnny's development was so much in this, it made me cry, my friends cry, and everyone on social media they call him the top scene protagonist. What can you say? Gappy, I'll admit I haven't finished part 8. From what I know of Gappy, with his memory and everything else, I love his personality, but also love the mysterious vague that comes with him as of right now. He already has development with the California King Bed arc for me. In the hospital, I'll put him at B as of right now because I don't know much about him. The change to go up or down, but as a character right now, I can't call him mid. I can't call him good or bad. Just there. But hey, tell me what I did wrong in the comments. Tell me what you honestly think. Who should be where? If my tier list was good, my tier list is absolutely mid dog. Price where anybody can walk on it. But just let me know. I had a really fun time doing this. No script, just me talking. As you can tell, probably just me just freestyling and talking it. But I'm gonna do more tier list eventually of the Joestars, but with strength, and then who I think would be the strongest and weakest Joestar overall. Thank you, and come back another time.